What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Oddity Shop. This is the podcast where the bizarre is always on sale, and we're here to tell you all about the creepy, weird, strange, paranormal stories from around the world. I am sitting here with the always lovely other curator of the shop here, Kara. Kara, how the hell are you doing today?
I'm doing very great. How are you? Before I say something and then forget to ask how you're doing. How are you, Zachary?
Oh my gosh, you care about me today. I am doing absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure you are too, because we're very excited.
Okay. Yes. But first,
before we do that, two things that we got to do first. Reminder to everyone, our phone lines are now open for your creepy paranormal stories. If you just want to call and leave us a little message, the phone number for that is 616-320-4935. And then tune in. Okay, so it is almost Creepy Month. This is the last episode for September. So next month, we have 4 regular spooky episodes for you, a bonus, and another surprise. So we got a lot of fun stuff coming for Halloween.
Of course we do. It's our favorite.
It is our favorite. We have costumes. I know. I'm going to keep talking. Okay. Kara, take over because we got important shit to announce here.
Okay. So I'm so excited because we have something special planned for this episode. So let's jump into opening the shop. And truthfully, I feel special because we are so fortunate to have the beautiful, funny, most upbeat, adorable, sassy creator, innovator, author. I could go on forever. We have the beautiful, amazing Lauren Helkson in from Lauren Hans.
Oh, it's me.
That is you. Hello.
I was like, who else is here? I'm so good, guys. I'm so happy that I get to be here with you guys.
You're happy. We're happy.
We could not be more thrilled. I think we spent like 20 minutes before you joined, like gushing about how excited we are. And then thankfully...
Oh my God, I wish I would have known. I was just sitting here, like waiting to get on.
You had perfect timing of coming on because we had just stopped like gushing and then it was
being dorks
popped in.
Oh my God.
You sent that and I was like, okay, like don't seem too eager. Don't get on right away. And so I like walked around, made myself coffee.
But that's how we were, because we're like, well, should we get on like 15 minutes early? And Zach's like, I'm going to get on right now because what if she just like pops in early? I don't want her to feel left out. And I'm like, okay, so we all could have just been on like 15 minutes early.
I know. Shame on me.
Oh my gosh. All right. So we usually open the shop up with a question like for each other. And instead of asking each other a question, we want to ask you one. What is the most overrated piece of paranormal investigating equipment that people rely on too much, in your opinion?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, I love that this is a stumper.
I know. That's going to be a big one. Okay. I mean, I have one, but I'm trying to think if there's one that I think is more overrated than that.
Give them both to us.
Yeah, it's not perfect. If you change your answer halfway through, we do that all the time too. So.
I guess, what do you think that people rely on maybe too much? What piece of equipment?
Oh, it's coming out. She's reaching for it.
I'm going to get my own too, because I can't be.
Yeah. I kind of figured you were going to say that. Everybody, she's holding up REM pads. I kind of thought you would say that.
Yeah, I would say, and it's not because I think it's a bad piece of equipment. I just don't think that they're utilized in the best way, and they're used too much as is for, I think, the data that's not very objective, but they could be used objectively. I just made a video about that actually. So
you did.
Perfect.
Okay.
I think that was a great answer.
That was. We can share that video. Okay. So I was like deep diving into you. And so Tim Shaw explained in an interview with you that there are almost like 3 categories of investigators. So he said users of equipment, those that innovate, and then those that can cross-pollinate and use the knowledge of paranormal and science to innovate. And I think that last one very much summarizes you.
Wow, you dove deep. I want to know, like, did you find any like juicy stuff on me?
Oh, I wasn't looking that hard, but you know what? When I leave here, I will.
Yeah. Now it sounds like we know it's out there.
I know. I want to know if I want like juicy stuff. I want to know like rumors about me.
Okay. Well, that'll be a special follow-up episode. I don't know if you want to come back for that or we can just talk trash without you.
I'll come back every day if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun. You know what we should do? We should do an episode we should just read each other each other's like hate comments and stuff.
Yeah. I do have a couple on like my YouTube, but I love hate comments. I love them so much because it's such a fun opportunity because number one, I never take a hate comment personally because it's not about me. It's really not. When you come and you give me a hate comment, it has nothing to do with me, boo. So I like want to be like, what was your relationship like with your mom?
Oh my God, that's a great response.
You know what I mean? I usually just treat it like with kindness, like, wow, thank you so much for that observation. Like, I'll really take that into account.
Yeah.
Here's why you're wrong.
Thanks for your opinion. Bye.
No, I think our first one, that was like the first time we got over our like imposter syndrome a little bit. We're like, did we make it? We got hate mail today?
We got hate.
Oh, good. Good.
Oh, no, we loved it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I was all for it.
Oh, yeah. I love getting like witchy hate mail too, because it's all like Satan-y stuff.
Oh.
And I'm like, don't talk about my boyfriend like that. Okay? He's kind and generous.
And this is why I love you so much.
Amazing. Well, while we could probably talk for like an hour about hate mail.
I know. I'm so sorry. I will go off track and I'll just go.
This is your episode, boo-boo.
We fully planned for that. Don't worry about it. But before we get too far, for our listeners who don't know about you, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up here today? What's the story of Lauren?
Yeah.
One day actually, you know what? In 1985, there was a young lady in college. I should tell her that I'm telling this story. And she had a one-night stand and she got pregnant and she was like, ooh, I don't want to keep this one. And so she put me up for adoption.
Lauren. I just wish you were a little more open and honest.
So she put me up for adoption. And these two other people were like, I think we like want to adopt a baby. And they were like, oh shit. And they got me and they were like, shit.
No,
because I was
they
like,
were not.
Oh, I was riddled with health issues.
Oh.
So I was like a projectile vomiter. I had both of my, I had like hip dysplasia on both hips. And all this stuff. So they give him this like broken kid and they're like,
oh my God.
Oh God. But anyway, so then 40 years later, no, not really. But I grew up my mom was a teacher and my dad was a data processor for a hospital. And my sister was like a sports star and I was a weirdo.
Yep.
Which is why we like you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like the weirdest stories I have been told about myself. It was like, it was never really toys. It was like, bring her home a box and she'll be fine. Like I was a cat. And
that's all right.
So weird. And when I could start, like when my dexterity issues started coming in, I started taking things apart. So I'll jokingly be like, I've been taking things apart for the better part of like 35 years, but probably only putting them back together for like the past like 15.
Yeah.
And I got in trouble for taking apart some stuff in the basement because I was like, oh, it's the basement. Like I've seen Home Alone.
Junk.
The basement's free range. It's just junk. No, it wasn't junk. It was like my dad's haven. And I was just like taking apart stuff. And he was like, oh God. So he started bringing home old computers for me to take apart too.
That's amazing. That's a good dad.
That's also just like good hands-on learning experience.
He definitely was just like, I'll just get you something real big.
Yeah.
And you'll be at it for hours and you'll leave everybody alone and it'll be great. And then,
yeah, we're all like, that's a good dad. He was trying to like encourage it. And he's like, no,
he was just like, just give her a computer so she'll shut the hell up. and so I started doing stuff like that. And he had one of those big like RCA camcorders. I started getting really into like making VHS tapes around the house.
Oh, like the big over the shoulder one with like the boom mic on there. Oh yeah.
So like pre-10-year-old Lauren, she was like making like ghost hunting docs and building shit.
It's as big as you. That's awesome.
I was like doing what I'm doing now. It's pretty cool. But then we're just going to skip everything else, you know?
She's like thinking her timeline. Like, what do I want to talk about?
Her entire life just flashed before her eyes.
Did.
Well, I almost like like I've said, I mean, I've had some ADHD issues and I was a very intelligent kid. I tested really well, but like I almost flunked out of high school and I was like a troublemaker and the only good grades were like in art class. and,
yeah,
and all that sort of stuff. And then I tried college. No, I'm a college dropout flunky. And
technically for now, right?
Hopefully not anymore. So all this crazy stuff. And there was a lot of turmoil in my family. They ended up like not really staying together. Everybody kind of went their separate ways.
Yeah.
And so in 2004, I'm just this like weirdo kid. I'm by myself living at home with my mom. She struggled pretty badly with like alcoholism and mental illness. And 2004, I'm graduating from high school and the debut of Ghost Hunters comes on the TV and I'm like on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Like, this is it.
Dude, like,
this could be me.
I didn't realize people did this like for a living. Like people want to do this stuff. And that's kind of where it stemmed like my big interest in the paranormal. I didn't have my first paranormal experience until I was like 24 though.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
That's kind of surprising that you got into the paranormal before a paranormal experience, because usually it's kind of flip-flopped.
My mom handed me a Dean Koontz book.
There it is.
Because my dad was like, I'll give her a computer to keep her busy. And my mom was like, if that doesn't work, I'll just start her on some like horror books and she'll just
there you
give
go.
herself nightmares in her room. It'd be great. So I was always into like horror and spooky stuff and like the scary books. And I bought like the Scholastic Book Fair, for some reason, the Scholastic Book Fair had like Bram Stoker's Dracula, and I still have my copy that I bought from the Scholastic Book Fair. And I just met Dacre Stoker, and I like cried because I'm like, yeah, it's one of my first like horror books.
He was an amazing.
Oh my God. Did you guys see him speak?
Oh, yes.
With him and Aaron. Oh my God. It was incredible.
He was just the cutest, most just adorable, friendly, like just amazing.
I love it. And
amazing.
Then when I found out that he was a teacher, I'm dead.
I know.
Like, I cried when I met him because my mom was a teacher and she passed away last year. And I'm like, she would have just been so happy to
that's so
meet
cool.
you or to know that I met you. And I'm like crying. And he's like,
aww. I thought it was hilarious. You hear a name, Dacre Stoker. And then he looked like a teacher with like a teacher with like creepy fun shirts, like
little baby angel.
I know, not what you
obsessed.
expected fully. Oh yeah, we're totally obsessed with him.
I bought all of his books, and then
I bought his like some of the scripts. I actually have him sitting next to me.
Oh yes, I have those, and I thought it was so cute. He had his family crest, and he would sign it, and he would be like, "In case you get another book, then you can put this in there, and it'll still be a signed one." And I was like.
That's so thinking ahead. You got addicted to the paranormal from some early books and Ghostbusters, right? So from that, you had your first
Ghost Hunters.
Sorry,
I was like,
Ghost Hunters.
Did he just say Busters?
Yes, of course, Ghostbusters.
Listen, it's a low caffeine day for me. So from there, how do you get to where you're at and what you're doing now?
Ghost Hunters, and then I don't care what anybody says, we all watched Ghost Adventures.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Also, too, early on Ghost Adventures, like
it wasn't bad.
It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And Ghost Adventures House Calls is not that bad at all.
Ooh, I don't think I've actually watched that. There's so many iterations out there that I haven't
House
watched.
Calls is pretty good.
Okay.
The Haunted Museum Ghost Adventures is amazing.
Okay.
I
think I've watched a few of those.
Eli Roth kind of creates like a little movie for different
Okay.
pieces that are in the museum. So it's all basically like fan fiction, but it's pretty good.
Okay, never mind. I haven't watched that, but I'm going to.
It's very entertaining. Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't until I was like, because I was like, oh, okay, this is so cool. People do spooky stuff for a living. This is so awesome, whatever. So of course I'm absolutely obsessed with that. And that's also where I first saw like Amy Bruni, this woman that wasn't like, oh my God, this is so scary. Like she was just like calm, cool, collected. She wasn't a psychic. She wasn't like, there was nothing other than she's just this woman that knows, and she's still like that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was that part as well. And that's always so important. Like the representation of women in the paranormal is so important. But not just that, but like diversity too, not just women, but seeing other ethnicities, seeing other walks of life, not just a whole bunch of like white people running around looking for ghosts.
That's true.
And, but I digress because, Ghost Hunters didn't really have that much diversity, but they did have women, thank goodness.
True.
But, so I was like, I am definitely interested, but when you do your research in 2005, 2006, 2007, I mean, there's no access to equipment. There is no real way, unless you like order something special from like Gary Galka himself, and the DOS REM pod was fairly new in 2004, so you're going to spend $200-$300 on it. And so it was just kind of like, well, let's see the tools that they were using, because they were plumbers and they were using electricians' tools. And I was like, oh, I mean,
like, I could do that.
Yeah, you could go to Radio Shack and get some stuff, and then you can go to Paul's Do It Center. There's no, and they're not. Neither one of those exist. I'm aging myself, and you can get a lot of this stuff. But I was still, poor. So I had like my college digital recorder, because I flunked out of college, so I didn't need that anymore. And then I had like my mag flashlights, which I still have. And I still have my first digital recorder too.
That's awesome.
And then that was it. And then when was it? In 2004, I was 18. And it wasn't until 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, like 6 years later, I had like my first paranormal experience.
That's so wild.
Yeah. I mean, of course, when you're a kid, like I didn't grow up in a haunted house.
Yeah.
I didn't, I wasn't like hanging out in graveyards, and you have this like, oh, I've been seeing dead people since I just was a spooky, weird kid, and I liked the weird stuff, and I was artistic, and I was a theater kid, and I loved the escapism that you can have with horror and fiction and fantasy. And so ghosts and spirits and aliens were all in that same realm. So I was just super into it, because that was something that you could do in real life. So, theoretically
Yeah,
speaking.
no, that makes sense.
I love that you bring up the escapism part of it too, because that's one of the things that I always use with skeptics, right? Like, I've had this talk with a few people in my life, but it's like, what if they were able to prove tomorrow that ghosts didn't exist? Or what if it's all fake? I'm like, you know what? Here's the thing. If you came to me with concrete proof tomorrow that all of this stuff was made up, which I don't think would ever happen, it made my life more fun. It made it more interesting, and it gave me something else to focus on other than the constant shitstorm that we have going in normal world, So that escapism is a huge piece.
I will tell you, technically, on paper, it is not real.
Yeah.
Technically. So technically, it's already, on paper that none of this is real, and we still all do it anyway. It's going to be the same thing as, I'm sorry, but there's nobody in the universe that could really convince me that, like, God exists.
Right.
But that's not going to stop people from that's where the faith part comes in.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's just kind of where the personal experiences come in.
Yeah.
And there is no concrete way, like real concrete way. There's a lot of data against the existence of the paranormal.
True.
But there's really no way, just like there's no way to prove or disprove religion, there's never going to be a way, honestly, to prove or disprove that the paranormal is real.
Right.
And there's a power in that. There's like a coolness in that, because that means that we can still have personal experiences. We can still use our equipment. We can still traipse through the woods and look for Bigfoot, because the escapism.
Yeah.
And
no, I like it explained that way. I love
and
that.
I'm not even a just in case person. Like, oh, you never know. It's not real yet. No, it's not, because if you are going to work on any sort of discovery and that's why, like, little tiny bits and pieces, I will never say, oh, the paranormal's real. But I will say there's tiny little bits and pieces that maybe we could work on, not necessarily proving, but at least like verifying some sort of semblance of existence with. And that's way cooler than me finding a ghost, in my opinion.
Which is like a perfect lead-in to talk about your skills. So how are we finding those little bits of evidence?
Yeah. You drop out.
I'm a dropout. Although I will say,
as she talks to me and I just like what?
This is the first time I'm saying publicly, though, that I am going back to school. So I'm
so
excited
excited for you. We're going to manifest it. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Well, I was already accepted. I was already accepted. Yeah.
So you're going to do fine. You're going to do great.
Youngstown State University penguin.
Oh, penguin.
I'm a penguin. But no, I was accepted in. I have to do some placement tests, but I am in the electrical engineering program.
I'm so happy for you. That's so awesome. So, okay, but explain why you're doing electrical engineering then.
So I do build equipment.
Just, so nonchalant.
So nonchalant. But a lot of that development in equipment is a lot of like the work and the experimentation that I do by talking and thinking about those little tiny pieces. Like, what little pieces can we work on discovering that has nothing to do with like talking to dead people? Because everybody's talking to dead people. That's fine. Everybody's out there trying to talk to dead people. That's not something that I need to work on. It's already being covered all over the place, all across the globe. We're all doing it. So I don't need to worry about that. It's covered. So I'm like, what other tiny little things can we work on? And then through things like that. And then also, I don't know if you guys saw me sharing things about the chamber at Madison Seminary.
Yes, yes, we definitely want to dig into that.
Yeah. And that's, and it's things like that are going to help with development of like the stuff that I make. So if anybody knows at all who I am, then they know me because I made the crystal pod,
which we have and we love
so much. Beautiful.
Which is, it's funny because I made this if we go back to that sort of like not having access and things being really, really expensive, that's like why I started building these. I honestly.
How old were you when you built the first one?
I've only been building for 2 years.
Okay.
Oh, really?
See, I would have thought that you would have been tinkering around with that for just the way that you just explain it and like.
Well, and that's the thing though, is because these are not paranormal. This is you're right. It's a capacitive proximity sensor. And those are, I mean, that's not a paranormal thing. That's just a mechanic thing. Like, like this, it's not something that 90% of the tools that we use are not paranormal tools. They've just been modified to be for paranormal investigators. But like, this isn't inherently something that I had to learn how to build paranormal equipment to do this. When I do a build workshop, I order a whole bunch of door alarms, and all we do is modify a door alarm to turn it into a REM pod, because they're all just proximity sensors.
Interesting.
Yeah. Proximity sensors are really prevalent in like manufacturing and pew, 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 pew. Like factories, things like that. There's a bunch of different kinds of proximity sensors.
Okay.
But they're the most prevalent in like the big industry manufacturing world. And honestly, that's all they are. It's just to allow like machines to know when something's like close to it, or when a water level rises too high, or when like safety stuff. And so like, this isn't new.
I was going to say, it just reminds me of like the garage door sensors.
Yeah.
So it doesn't like crush a child or something.
Which are passive infrared motion sensors.
Oh, okay. Tell me more.
Oh, you're gonna kill it back in electrical engineering.
I know.
Here.
What the hell are you
I hope so. I gotta I'm gonna do some prep courses on like trigonometry and stuff, because the math piece. But I'll tell you what, man, I'll kill it in like labs and circuitry.
Yeah, you will.
Kill it.
Yeah, you will. Oh my God.
I'm wondering. I'm trying to think where I have the first one that I did build, because I think I just take it with me.
You're so smart to keep it. I would have given that away or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny because when I built the first one, it was just for me.
Yeah.
I had my first paranormal experience at 24.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
And then that was really when I was like, ooh, I want to do like paranormal investigating. And I lived in an old apartment building. So we started doing like paranormal investigating in this apartment building. I went to like my friends' houses and all this stuff. So it was all just these like little residential things. And then my first public hunt was probably like 12 years ago. And it was at the House of Wills in Cleveland. And I just had brought like my little Mac flashlight and my little digital recorder. And I ended up getting an EVP that won a contest for the event.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah. So I had my first experience at 24, and then I didn't actually catch my first piece of evidence until I was like 27, 28 years old.
That's cool.
Yeah. Which also plays in a little bit to some other things that I'll talk about when I talk about the chamber.
Perfect.
And I'm like, okay, like then I'm getting heavy. So I am 39, and I don't think I got super, super heavy into like, this is where I want to be forever, until like my mid 30s.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to discover like that there were Paracons. I didn't know Paracons were a thing.
And that's how we met you.
Yes. My very first one was HillCon. We met at Michigan Paracon, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where's HillCon at?
HillCon's at Hillview Manor in Newcastle, Pennsylvania.
See, I'm telling you, Kara, all the good events are in Pennsylvania. We're now, obviously, you know, Michigan Paracon's over. We're looking for a new home con. So if you got some good ones, you let us know.
Oh my God. Yes. Are you kidding me? There's also, so Hillview Manor was my first one. And I had at first kind of stepped on the scene in Paracons for like witchcraft stuff. Yeah. I owned a yoga studio, and then I have also been like a witchy practitioner for, you know, a good amount of time. And I struggled a lot with like coming like publicly with witchcraft.
I can see that being tough, especially.
It was tough.
Now I feel like it's kind of getting to where it's easier maybe, but yeah, I could see.
But even 5 years ago it was
It was tough. It would just, which is so crazy because everybody has all this like, you can go into Hobby Lobby and there's crosses everywhere, and like, you know, Catholic churches on every freaking corner, but people were so scared about talking about witchcraft. And I'm like, they're pretty similar. And
honestly,
seriously, it's all rituals and
so it's
anyway.
crazy.
Okay. I'll bite my tongue before.
We could go on a rant about that.
Well, I mean, historically, it is all stolen practice.
Yes.
Sorry.
Not sorry.
I'm a deconstructed Christian, okay? Me and Jesus have a fine relationship. And
deconstructed.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. Reading the Bible from the first page to the last page helped me deconstruct from organized religion and Christianity.
Honestly, I kind of bet.
And I have met some pretty diehards. Very recently, I spoke to somebody who was very religious, and they almost wanted to try to start having a religious conversation with me. And I said, when was the last time that you read the Bible cover to cover? And they said, well, you know, I mean, you don't read it cover to cover. And I was like,
why?
Don't have this argument then, because I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I will absolutely win.
Because if they read it cover to cover, then they just can't pick up the excerpts that prove their point and ignore all the rest.
It's an enthralling read. I highly recommend. It's so contradictory, and there are such like brutal parts, and there's really great parts in it. And I think it's a fantastic book. I think it's great. Read it.
Tenny says that too. Read it.
It's a fantastic book.
Yeah.
Do like King James and do like NIV version and do them side by side. And then there's also, there's plenty of, find yourself a really good theological, what is the word I'm looking for? I am a
theologian. Describe the person, not the word.
So like somebody, okay, so back in like Greek times, they would all come together and they would all talk about things, and it was just a bunch of men, and philosopher.
Got you.
What's another word like philosopher?
I was going to say armchair expert, but I don't think that's what you were.
Or I think when you were saying theology, a theologian would be like a person who...
Specifically, there is a gentleman on TikTok that I follow. Let me see. Scholar.
There you go.
Woo!
He's a scholar of like the Bible and religious scripture and all of this stuff. And he takes the Bible as just face value. And he goes through and he talks about the different ways that religion, and he is religious. And he said, you know, it is text. It is text. It is not, the Bible is not a religion. The Bible is text that religion was formed from.
And it's so wild when you think about it that way.
He's fantastic.
Oh,
see, I can go off into like the craziest rants.
I know. I feel like we're the same way though. So we'll tangent and tangent.
I'm all about rabbit holes.
Perfect.
Well, and back to witchcraft. So
Yes,
Oh, that's where we got here.
See, that's where you're good though, because we don't always remember where we started. You got that little mental bookmark going.
I was like religion.
Well, we were talking about Paracons and then witchcraft. Okay.
Yeah. So I had first entered in Paracons because of witchcraft, because when I studied yoga in India, that's how I was certified to teach yoga. And I came back home and I opened up a yoga studio in my hometown, which was like the worst mistake ever because I ended up closing it 2 years later.
Oh.
But we had a lot of classes about like spirituality and meditation, and I would have shamanic practitioners come in and we would do all of these just different types of spirituality. And I had a few women that were just like, you know, I've been really interested in naturalism and witchcraft and things like that. And I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And I would have like witches circles at the yoga studio.
Oh my God, I love it.
Oh, that's fun.
And it would just be like practical things. Like we did, it was always very beautiful and very emotional and very empowering. And we would do like cord cutting rituals, or we would talk about how to make a grimoire. Or we would do like little manifestation jars. This was something that I had made during one of the, this is one of my little things that we made during one of the witches circles at my yoga studio. And
I love that.
It was just like things like that. And so I ended up getting into the Paracons because I was like, I want to do this, but I don't know what to sell. And somebody was like, sell like witchy stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a great idea. So I was like crystals and little witch kits and like.
I got my first pendulum from you.
Oh, did you?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there it is.
No one can see, but I'm holding up her book.
There it is.
I had to dig for it.
I love it. And I started just selling these things. And then it was like a year later, I joined Tri-C Ghost Hunters, which is the resident paranormal team at the Ohio State Reformatory. And I did my first Paracon with them, which was Parapsychon. And Parapsychon was like, for me, was like Michigan Paracon times 12,000.
Ooh, and see, we've debated that one. We need to jump on there.
Now, for me, it was now Michigan Paracon, of course, but like when I went to Michigan Paracon for the first time, I was already paranormal and things like that. So for me, going to Parapsychon, there is the only reason why I'm doing what I'm doing in the paranormal is because I joined Tri-C Ghost Hunters and I went to Parapsychon. That's it. Because Parapsychon was like, here's my journey. And my journey would have gone this way, but Parapsychon happened and it was like,
yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm like, oh my God, that was like all of the like 2004 me watching Ghost Hunters and like me with a big, huge camcorder and me like hunted for ghosts in the backyard. All of it flashed before my eyes. And I was like,
imagine. That's amazing.
Oh my God, it all settled in. This is where I belong. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. It was like a big, profound, life-changing moment. And I approached Greg Ficetic and I was like, how do people like be a part of something like this? Like, how do people talk at these things? And I'm like, I'm going to speak at Parapsychon one day. And he was like, well, I mean, I'll tell you what I look for. And I was like, tell me. And I wrote a list. And he was like,
do you still have the list?
No, I think it was like on my phone.
Okay.
But literally it was like, because he was like, what have you done? What have you been on? What have you this? What have you that? What books have you written? All this other stuff. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that. And that was like 3 years ago. Yeah, that was like 3 years ago.
That's incredible.
And he actually really has the first proximity sensor I ever fixed, which got me into building them because he had one that looked like this.
Of course, he started by fixing and taking one apart.
Right.
Yes. And he was like, yeah, he's like, you know, and because I was like, oh, what's this? This is adorable. And he was like, oh, it's a REM pod, but it doesn't work. And I was like, can I take it apart? And he was like, yeah, I mean, it's broken. And I was like, bet you I could fix it. Because that's what it always was. If somebody had something that was broke, they brought it to me and I fixed it. No matter what. I can't figure out how to put this together. Call Lauren. The VCR is broken. Call Lauren. This is broken. Call Lauren.
That's amazing.
Constantly was fixing things.
Oh, I'm gonna need you on speed dial because every electronic around me just decides to break.
Dude,
we think we may have figured it out, but
I got a travel soldering kit to take to cons in case people are like,
perfect.
this is broken.
this.
And I'm like, give it to me. I'll fix it.
I come up with a wagon of electronics.
Yeah.
Hey, Lauren.
I was such a builder. When I opened my yoga studio, 100% laying the floors, building everything. I did
That's
all
so
of
cute.
it. And he was like, yeah, it's broken. And I was like, can I take it apart? And he was like, yeah, I don't care, whatever. And I took it home and I took it apart. And I was like,
hello.
I hope he didn't pay very much money for this because this is so silly. And I fixed it. And I was like, hey, I fixed it. He was like, whoa, cool. And I was like, yeah. And I'm pretty sure I can fucking build those. So I got the materials. You can find these on Amazon. I have an Amazon storefront that you can buy everything and I have a YouTube that shows you how to do it.
Yep.
And I put one together and I was like, this looks like a toy. I'm never going to use this. I want it to look like a DOS REM pod. That's what I've always wanted. They're too expensive. I still couldn't afford them. And I was like, I want it to look like a DOS REM pod. So I got a box that was round. I searched the internet, found boxes that were round. I had my yoga studio. So I had a shit ton of crystals. And I was like, I'm going to put crystals on this. It's going to be so
and it's
pretty.
so beautiful. And
the very first, this is my friend Holly's, but it looks exactly like this, the one that I built for myself. And I like took it to a con with me because there was a ghost hunt afterwards. So I was like, I'm going to take mine. And I was like, it's so pretty. I'm going to display it. And people were like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, it's my REM pod. And before I started calling them proximity sensors because REM pod is licensed. But I was like, oh, it's my REM pod. And they were like, is it for sale? And I'm like, no, it's just mine. When I tell you, people were like, I'll give you $200 for it. And I was like, first of all, no.
Right.
But like, maybe I'll start making things.
Yeah, that's
it's
amazing.
So crazy, like how faded that whole story is, though, right? You start talking to this guy because you wanted to get involved. He has it broken. Like all of those things just seemed like it was so meant to be.
Greg and Kathy Fiketic, they're still really good friends of mine. He kept that. He made me sign it, and he kept it.
Oh, I love that.
He's smart. He knew you were going places.
Oh yeah, he did. Well, he just made me sign it like last year or something. He was like, you have to sign this for me, right? Yeah,
I love that.
And then I was like, well, I guess I'll just try to just figure out a better way to make these and put them together. And then the year later, HillCon, I debuted the Crystal Pod and sold out immediately.
Oh, of course you did.
Oh, yeah.
Immediately. Because I was also selling them for $65.
Which is insane. I mean, you're one of the things we love about you is how accessible you have made some of the equipment.
I mean, they're still only $120 now. You know what I mean? And I have payment plans.
Half the price of just about every other one.
Yeah. And I do payment plans and I try to keep things really affordable, and they'll never be more than $120.
Yeah.
Other than if you do a fully custom one, they do get more expensive.
Well, yeah, it's tiered, but that makes sense.
You should. Oh my gosh. You know what? Hold on a second. You want to see how fucking, hold on. Let me finish the story first. I'm going to show you how crazy a custom can get. I have one back there. That's one of the prettiest ones I've ever made.
Oh, I can't wait.
We should get a custom one.
I'll show you it's crazy. But, and I have a portfolio on my website too of all the different customs. I've done teams, I do logos, I do everything.
That's so fun.
But so I debuted, I sold out. And then every single show I did that year, I couldn't keep them in stock. And it was I was like, I don't know if I like this, because all I was doing was building and building and building and building. And I couldn't keep them stocked. And I'm like, I'm barely making money on these. I was just doing it to see it was fun or whatever. And so I was like, well, I got to take a step back and really sort of change this up. And hopefully people still want them. If I make them a little bit more expensive, still fucking sold out no matter what.
Wait, if you had people offering $200, they're going to buy them.
Yeah.
All of the equipment that you make is, right, if you compare it to what's on the market, you're still competitively priced. And everyone else that's on the market is hard plastic. It looks exactly the same. You have these absolutely beautiful, one of a kind. I mean, we took it to Eloise Asylum and people were like, what is that? How do I get one? Like,
our girl Lauren.
It's a showstopper when it comes to the room.
You guys have a hexagon one too, don't you?
We have the round one, the round crystal pod.
I have it over there.
We have a hexagon on its way, though.
Yeah. Because we ordered
Oh,
that.
yeah. You have your seer.
Yes, the seer coming.
We'll get into why that's important. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you're not.
Cool.
Are you on my board yet?
It's okay if we're not.
We're patient-ish. We'll be patient for you.
This is the line. And then
It's
like
fine.
when one's done, another one
Yeah.
goes up.
Mhm.
Listen, we're not worried. We are not at all.
Selling out like crazy. And so I changed around all my pricing. And then it just kind of like went from there. And I wanted people to know how to build these things. I started a workshop. I teach people how to build the proximity sensors. And then I was like,
Which I think that is so cool. Like, you're not gatekeeping. You're like, hey,
No.
I want to show you how you can do this
Mhm.
yourself.
so easy. Yeah.
Let's do it
I just make
together.
them pretty. Mine are expensive because they're pretty. That's it. And they're not even that expensive.
But they're gorgeous.
When your entire life is REM pods, you really, really start to, again, deconstruct.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to educate people more about how to use them. And I was just noticing like people I don't use REM pods as communication devices.
Right.
But I used to.
Yeah.
And then I learned more about them, and I learned more about the paranormal and doing my own experimentation and theories and ideas develop. And I was like, I need more. I want more. And I'm like, I want to start building more. And so now it sort of just turned into this, like, I'm constantly trying to come up with like new experiments to figure out the next phase of like what I want to build.
I think that's my favorite part about you is that you're not just like trying to just throw shit out there to sell. Like, you're doing experiments, you put them on your, Instagram and things like that, your little experiments, you talk about it. And then you're just like, cause you want to learn to be able to share that experience with people to then sell a product that could benefit. Like, you're not just throwing shit out there, which I just love and appreciate.
It's like a mixture between, I was always told that when I talk too much, and now, ding, that's that's like a positive.
Yeah, that works great.
2, I'm too much of a control freak. Oh, ding, now that's a positive. 3, you're always telling people what to do. Ding, that's a positive. So
This was all faded for you.
yeah. And my mom was a teacher, and in elementary school, hi, BB.
Who do we have?
Come here, Dudo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to hold them up now.
Yeah, who do we have?
Come here. Well, she's big. I can't pick her up. Come here, Doodlebug. Oh, she's my little girl.
Doodlebug.
This is Eleanor Rigby.
Eleanor.
I like Doodlebug.
I know, she's my little Doodlebug.
That's hilarious. I don't, if you can hear Delilah out there, I apologize, but I got a little wiener dog just.
Oh, I love wieners. Don't isolate that. I love wieners.
That's the soundbite now. Okay,
That's
so
the magic clip.
dog's name is Eleanor, but Doodlebug. What are the 15 other names you had? No, I'm kidding. But everyone
Eleanor
has
Rigby Roosevelt Hellickson, or Doodlebug Girl, Princess Girl.
that. See, we knew.
You asked, she was going to give
And
him.
it's not girl, it's Guro.
Guro. Oh, Guro.
She's
That's
Doodlebug Princess Guro.
Love
She's
it.
my little pumpkin.
Oh, she's so cute.
Or bunkin, which is like
yeah.
pumpkin.
Yeah.
We don't actually speak English in this house. We
Nope.
only speak in baby talk.
Yep. Same here.
Honestly, in our house, it's mostly just singing songs to the cat and changing as many words to his name as we can. And his name is Small Cat.
Little small cat.
I'm a master lyricist when it comes to my animals.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
am I. You ever see those TikToks or reels that it's like the poor dog just sitting there and it's like when my mom is like making up lyrics to songs about me
Yeah.
and it's just like, and that's me every day. My husband's like, leave her alone. I'm like, no, she loves it.
Emerson's not interested. Eleanor,
Loves
she
it.
is like,
She's about
"Sing
that life."
about me."
Yeah, sing it to me. Oh my
Oh
God.
my
I love
God.
it.
She's my princess. She's my
Mhm.
princess girl.
Girl. I'm going to say that from now on.
She's my princess girl.
This is so fun. We're on so many tangents, but it's fine. So when Zach and I first met, I'd always be like, okay, girl. And I'd always call him girl. Now I'm going to call him girl.
And he was like, wow, thank you so much. You know
Well,
what you should just do?
At this point, I just accept it, but what should I do?
No, you just have to go, pronouns are he, him. I don't consent to that. I'll pull that on my husband. I'll be like, I don't consent to that.
I don't consent.
The fun way to do that
I
would
would
be
say my
let
husband
her
would be like,
call
"What
me
the
girl the second anybody else did right in front of him. Oh, no.
Mm-mm.
You just get real serious. You go, My pronouns are he, him, and I would really appreciate if you respected that. In the year of our Lord, 2024.
So I used to be a cigarette smoker, and when people who bumped me with cigarettes in college would be like, "Can I bum a cigarette?" I'd be like, "I don't smoke." Split cigarette in hand, and people would just look at you like you're crazy and walk away. It worked.
I could never say. I had such a hard time telling people no, but I also was like, God, when did I quit smoking? I don't even know. I quit smoking when I quit drinking.
Good for you.
Because there was no way you could quit either independently of one another. I don't know.
I've switched to vaping and gotten a little bit better. The only problem is I've switched one crutch for the other. Now I can do this one inside. But
I will say though, the vaping, you can get cartridges that don't have nicotine. So you can like wean yourself off.
Right. Except for the monster that I turn into when I do wean. It's just better for everybody else that we stay at a higher level. For now, we'll get there.
Oh my God. That's okay. I believe in you.
Fair. I appreciate you.
I believe in you.
All right.
Okay. What were we actually talking about? Just you. What were we talking about you?
This year.
This year.
Yeah. But actually, you know what? No, because I was saying all the things people were like, oh, you talk too much. And now I'm like, ding, that's great. And then they were like, you're such a control freak. Oh, ding, awesome, that works. I make beautiful shit. And then they're like, you need to always be telling people what to do. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like being a teacher is something that I really, really love. And it's not because I like to tell people what to do. It's because I love learning something and then sharing with people how easy it is for them to learn it too. Because it's like, oh my gosh, I did this. And it's often something very unapproachable, like when I was a yoga instructor. And it was like, but I can show you a way that you can learn how to do this too. And it's going to be so great. And then we're all going to be empowered and it's going to be amazing.
And I think too, that's part of why like we fell in love with you, right? Because I think by the time we made it to your table that first year that we met you, we're already like, okay, we need to stop spending money. We don't need these things. And,
and then you're like,
well, then we met you and it was a completely different experience, right? Because by the time we walked away from your table, one, I had a completely different understanding of all paranormal investigating equipment, not just what we were buying. And you were one of the few who we talked to, like you could, the passion was coming out of you so hard, at least on the merchant table side, right? There's a lot of presenters and stuff who always do that, but there was something in the way that you put your own care and touch into things that like...
But that makes sense because that's what makes the best teachers is those that are just excited when they teach to the other person or, you know, whatever. And it sparks to them. Like you can just see, like, you just get so excited when you're talking about stuff. And even when I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, but oh my God, yeah, like
just glazing over. You're just letting me go.
But no, when we first met you, we were just like, we walked away from your table. We didn't buy anything at first. Do you remember that, Zach? Because then we went back and I was like,
that's what you did this last time too.
This is true. But I was like, the first time I was like, I think I'm obsessed with her. Oh my God. Like what? And Zach's like, yeah, I know. We really need to go back and buy. I'm like, yeah.
That's it. You just give us enough time together and we'll enable each other to spend all the money.
But I feel like you're the cool, I don't want to say like the cool girl in school because that's like bad sometimes, but you're like the person that's like so cool, but then you make everybody else feel cool because you want them to be cool with you.
That means a lot to me that you said
That's how I feel with you because I was like, you didn't make us feel silly or you know, weird. And it's just like sometimes people do feel strange at cons because they're going to all these tables and they're trying to like talk to people and you just feel a little bit like intimidated and like you don't make anybody feel that way. You give everybody your undivided attention and just like you just make everybody feel special. And I love it.
I'm a little too emotional for this right now.
If you cry, I'll cry. Don't.
I already cried once today. I cried twice today.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Well, Paracon.
I think that's the one we need to go to, Kara, because it's still close enough. It's probably the same damn distance.
Yeah, maybe.
You remember that story I was telling you about how I was telling Greg Ficetic, I was like, one day I'm going to do that. And he was like, all these things. And I'm like, okay, you know, da 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 da. And he was, 3 years later, will be speaking at Paracon next year.
When is it?
It's May. It is the third weekend of May.
Okay.
Okay, we're going.
And when he asked me, I literally was like, he was like, we were working a private hunt at OSR and he was like, you going to speak next year? And I was like, hell yeah, I am. Cause he would just say like,
Yeah.
you going to be speaking next year? And I was like, yes. Like, here's the work I've been doing. And I was like, hell yeah, I am. And he was like, no, really, do you want to speak next year? And I was like,
oh.
I was like, what? And he was like, would you like to be a speaker at Parapsychon next year? And I was like, what? I'm like ugly crying. And I was like,
I would have bawled.
Are you being serious? And he was like, I'm being serious. And I was like, is this because we're friends? And he's like, no.
Oh my God. That's so cute.
So I got because that's one thing is I'm like really good friends with Greg and Kathy Vaketic. They're like family to us. And so that was one thing too, is like, he really doesn't do favors, especially if you're a friend. And why I appreciate that so much is because I thoroughly feel like I deserve and worked for it. And
that's amazing. That's a really good feeling to have.
Yeah. And so it was a very big moment to be asked finally. That was like such a full circle moment because Parapsychon was the one event that like changed the trajectory of what I wanted to do.
That's awesome. Oh my God.
There's just way too much fate and synchronicity in all those stories.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
love it so much.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
Well, I have a question then, because you're kind of talking about all the things that you've done. And so my question is, like, with everything that you have been able to do, with all of everything that you've just told us, what is your favorite part so far?
This is crazy because, like, don't get me wrong, I love teaching people. I love when I have like a group of people at my table. I don't care if people buy stuff. I don't care.
No, we can attest to that.
Like, I stopped selling things you can order my equipment now at events, but I stopped selling things at events because I want people to come up to like learn and to explore. And I have the big Van de Graaff generator and I do demos and I show people all of these things.
Yes, she does.
And I love that so much. But like now being able to have the access and the relationship with locations has now allowed me to have places where I can do the experiments that I had been wondering about, that you really need to be able to. You can't walk into a place and like decide whether or not it's haunted by just being there one time, no matter how many people want to have all of their videos of evidence and all of this and all of that. EVPs are a dime a dozen. Photos are a dime a dozen. Your shadow person is a dime a dozen. For every single video of a ghost, I can show you 12,000 more videos of a ghost.
Yeah.
Every EVP that says get out, I can show you 25,000 more EVPs that say get out. And so that's why I'm saying, like, hunting for ghosts, I'm not interested in, because that's already covered. Everybody's already doing that. That's great. But the experimentation that I want to do is so long term that I needed like a space in order to work. And having that now, I think my favorite thing right now hasn't even debuted yet. It's debuting tomorrow. Is the chamber.
Oh yes, I've been so waiting to like.
Oh my God,
can we dive into this a bit? Because I watched.
Yes.
I watched your live video where you started to explain it, and I want to hear everything.
It is so.
Wait, hold on, Zach. Zach and I have a surprise really quick for you.
Oh, are you going to start explaining things to us?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
We came prepared. Damn it!
I'm like,
I knew it.
Okay, so here's the deal for all of our listeners. Lauren explained to us when we asked her to be on the show that when she's explaining things, she has to wear a tinfoil hat. So we all came prepared with tinfoil hats.
If we're talking about something that is based in personal theory, which means anything paranormal is personal theory. Scientific theory, something totally different. If we're going to talk about physics, if we're going to talk about the electromagnetic spectrum in like an applicable way, static electricity, how it works, all those things, that's science. The second that we relate it to the paranormal, tinfoil hats gotta go on, because it is no longer science. That's when science theory turns into personal theory. And those two things are so far removed. I'm talking personal theories right here now. Science theory is in Australia. That's how far apart they are from one another. And I don't think that is I don't think that is explained enough. And there's a superpower in that, because now that means we can talk about how a burp is an alien trying to get into your brain.
Probably.
It makes solid sense.
Oh, God.
Which is why I'm
You know
glad
what
I
I
have my
mean?
protection on.
Yeah.
And you want to know why, like where this came from?
Okay, other than the movie Signs, that was
So-
my earliest entry to the tinfoil hat.
I know, that's why I can tell that's why how you made your tinfoil hats, and I love that. So the coolest part about the idea of tinfoil hats is because this is like the epitome of anti-science, but the reasoning behind it is rooted deeply in science. So the tinfoil hat is a Faraday cage for your brain.
Oh, okay. All right.
A Faraday
I can see it.
cage can be made out of tinfoil. I did do a video on Faraday cages where I wrapped up my my REM pod in tinfoil.
Yeah.
And when I used the two-way radio, it didn't set it off.
Yes.
Mhm.
A Faraday cage blocks most like electromagnetic radiation. So radio waves and things like that, it will block it. So to put it on your head, you are using the concept of Faraday cages. Now, mind you, because we're not completely encased in tinfoil, this does not work.
Right. But it's fun.
Wait, that sounds way too sciencey. I'm going to say it works.
But it's interesting that the whole idea behind it is very rooted in a scientific application.
Yeah, that's funny.
A mechanical application, because it does work. There's no theory or anything behind it. Faraday cages are absolutely a thing. But I always find that really funny. So the chamber is very tinfoil hatty. It's tinfoil hatty because it's very rooted in spiritual practice.
Okay.
But then it's also a little bit of like psychology as well too, because what I want to do with the chamber, and a lot of this is all the way back into before I had my first paranormal experience when I moved into my first apartment building, which coincidentally, I ended up, my apartment that I had that experience in, I ended up moving when my mother could no longer take care of herself, like in a house, but she could still manage taking care of herself. I moved her into that apartment because it was next door to my new apartment, because I moved next door into a bigger apartment. So I moved my mom into my first apartment, and she had an experience there. And my mom she was never a paranormal person.
Interesting.
And she had an experience.
That gives some credence to it.
And then we learned that apartment was where her grandmother lived.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
Shut up.
Wait, she didn't, and you guys didn't know?
Chills.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't until she had her paranormal experience, and then she had this epiphany, because she always said that apartment building was, she used to go there when she was little because she used to play around the veranda, and she had some sort of epiphany, and she was like,
oh, wow.
The reason why I was hearing my name is because this was my grandmother's apartment. I used to come here when I was little.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's
so every hair is like standing still.
Yeah, mine
so
too.
Cool.
I love that story. And also it's so cute.
I was to say, it's kind of something comforting too, because she was there when she was little, and then she was there when she was not. Oh.
Yep. And then she was there towards the end of her life. That was the last place she lived until we moved her into assisted living. And
I like that.
I know. Isn't that so cool? I love it. So it was like that
so
little
cool.
connection. But then it wasn't until when I got my first EVP, when I was interacting directly, eliciting some sort of connection to the paranormal, was after I had studied in India, spirituality, all these other things. So I was really into meditation. I was really into this spiritual practice. And I found myself getting sort of more and more interaction and personal experiences in the paranormal. And I'm like, and it's in my book too, that meditation is so important to paranormal investigating, because your state of mind and your emotional state and your state of being is connected to the balances or imbalances of your energy centers in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And your third eye is how you interact with the world beyond, the spiritual world, is that sort of third eye energy center. And the only way that you can really sort of attune yourself and balance yourself out is, a good mobility practice, a good physical like movement and health, but meditation. And meditating and mindfulness was always really important when it came to my sort of ceremony. When it came to paranormal investigating, it was have yourself in a good mental state, meditate on your way up, make sure that you're like cleansing before and after kind of thing, ground yourself, all of that stuff. And so in order to be able to do an experiment like this, where I can have access to hundreds of studies and data from people in the general public. And it's crazy because Rebecca Kirschbaum, who is the counterpart to Adam Kimmel, who owns the Madison Seminary in Madison, Ohio. Rebecca is like, she's a really, really good friend of mine. She's super into like the meditation and yoga and all this stuff too. And her and I have always had these like really great conversations. And one day she was like, I just woke up and I was like, Lauren needs a room. and she called me and she was like, I want to have a meeting. And I was like, okay, cool. See you in a bit. And she was like, I want you to do something with one of the rooms on the third floor. And I was like, okay, sure. And she's like, I don't know, like make it into something cool. They have a mirror room there where the entire room is just mirrors and it's really cool.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I was like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, let's go look at it. And I opened the door and I was like, oh my God, we're going to do like a resonance chamber. We're going to do this sort of sensory deprivation kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's going to be just all this stuff. And then like the chamber was born and it's another synchronicity. And so the hypothesis behind the chamber is that I think there is such a profound connection between your emotional, mindful, like mental state and your connection and interaction with the supernatural or the paranormal or whatever it is, whether it be interdimensional travelers or aliens or ghosts or whatever it is. Having supernatural experiences, I found with like conversations with people in this community, the people that were, of course, we have the people that have gifts, they're sensitive, they're empaths, they're mediums, they're psychics, have these interactions all the time. And psychic ability, again, is connected to your third eye and the balance of your energy centers. And then you have people that are like super skeptics that are just like, never had an experience, never had one. And they're usually typically, sometimes of course they're religious, but they're not super spiritual or anything like that.
Right.
And then you have some people that are like a little bit more like woo-woo spiritual, like witches. They've all had personal experiences. So there's these coincidences in types of people and their connection to spirituality, spiritual practice, meditation, yoga, all of these things, and their personal experiences in the paranormal. Now, don't get me wrong. I think most personal experiences are purely subjective. Sometimes it's just confirmation bias. Sometimes it's correlation, this sort of like correlation and causation thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's totally just psychosomatic. It's been fabricated inside your mind. But does that mean that I think every single personal experience is that? No, because the only way that I can judge that, and I'm not saying, oh, my experiences are real and nobody else's. No, but I am taking into account that I have had experiences that I have really tried to deconstruct and I couldn't. So I'm basing the likelihood of other people's experiences. There is a percentage that those could be authentic because I feel like mine are authentic. And is that another confirmation bias? Why, yes, of course it is. But that's why we do an experiment.
And that's why we have tinfoil hats on.
And that's why we have tinfoil hats on. And so it is a sound resonance chamber. So you go inside this chamber, you close the curtain, and you find yourself in complete darkness. And there are these two speakers behind you, and you hear my voice. And you get to experience Lauren's meditation voice, which is completely opposite from her, like, look at this proximity. Totally different. I don't even think half the time people will realize it's me. And you'll be given these instructions to just kind of like sit, relax, and then you are played this tone with this drumming for 15 minutes. The idea of the tone and the drumming, the tone is very specific. and there's going to be different uploads of different tones in the chamber throughout the 2 years of the experiment that it's going to run. It's going to run for 2 years.
2 years.
And that's how you know it's thorough.
And that's what I'm saying. People are like, oh, I did an experiment. How long was your experiment for? A night?
Overnight.
That's not an experiment, babe.
No, yeah.
You know, I mean, of course it is an experiment, but that's not, you can't get thorough data overnight.
It's a personal experiment. Yeah, that's not really compiling the data, going through it, and giving so much more evidence.
I'm trying so hard to make this, even though it's so woo-woo and the scientific method cannot apply to this in any way, shape, or form. So I'm calling it the parascientific method.
Okay, I love it.
But I'm trying to make it as thorough as possible. So it's open to the general public.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Okay.
There is a QR code that you scan that takes you to a questionnaire. And it has all these directions. You're supposed to go up to the chamber. You're supposed to walk the halls first and just take in everything, do the chamber, and then walk the halls again and see if there's a difference. That's it. That's what it is.
Oh my God. We got to do this. We got 2 years, Zach. We
you got
to
2
do
years.
this.
Yeah.
It's Ohio. We'll get there in 2 months.
Well, right. and let me know. You could just come out and I'll make sure that you can do it by yourselves. So, and I'll do a controlled experiment where you come out and it'll just be us.
Yes.
We will totally be your guinea pigs.
It would have to be like a weekday.
That's okay.
I'm going to be doing controlled events where I do controlled experiments with people. So then there's a good control factor, and then different variables, because then of course it's going to be open to the general public. So of course I'm going to have to, probably deal with people that send in bullshit questionnaires and whatever. But that's why I'm doing it for 2 years.
Yeah, this is so cool, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And the goal is after the 2 years, and now the tone, every few months it's going to change.
Oh, okay.
And so there will be like different data sets just to see. My goal is to find like this sort of sweet spot tone, sound, rhythm that I can just put on Spotify, and anybody can just put it in their headphones before an investigation. And then you will be able to tap in more to the supernatural energy without having to use a bunch of pieces of equipment to hunt for ghosts. Or maybe it just might increase your intuition in the areas of the building that you could go to set up your equipment. So it's almost kind of like giving... It's like the binaural beats of the paranormal world, except there's like actual evidence you're gathering behind it to see what works instead of just, some kid with a mixer on YouTube.
If anyone ever said you're not cool, I will personally go beat them up for you.
So many. Okay. It's so funny. I definitely went through a lot of like feeling very uncool stages and having friendships where I was like not really the cool friend at all. And very like, not, I was definitely like bullied in high school. And it's funny, right before I got into the paranormal, I had a witchy friend. And it's funny because they have like 250,000 followers on TikTok, and they made like a bash TikTok about me.
Lauren, we need to find this person.
I can't even imagine what you could do to get a bash TikTok.
They called me something different, and it was hysterical. It did make me laugh a lot. I didn't do anything.
You're like, whatever.
It was whatever. I don't care.
She's in the comments. How's your relationship with your mother?
It was oh, and that's the thing, is that I knew what the relationship was with the mother. So that's why I was like, you're not going to
entertain that shit.
I'm not even going to.
Oh, well, that's why it is like, we just keep tangenting. I love it. But that's why I feel like it is important to find like other little weirdos. Cause like
I have never felt so welcomed and accepted and seen and respected as much as I have in this community. When I was in the yoga community, I was very much like I'm the rebel, and because I don't teach in Sanskrit and speak above people, I am not good enough for that community.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
The one other studio that I taught at that I just absolutely loved, the couple there. It was a studio that was in Hudson, Ohio. They're incredible. They're still there. They're amazing and beautiful and wonderful people. But some of their clientele, it was rich bougie crowd.
Mhm.
And I used to ride motorcycles, and I would strap my yoga mat on the back of my motorcycle.
Fucking course she did.
I would strap my
Jesus
yoga mat on the
Christ.
back of my motorcycle, and I would ride to go teach.
Oh
And I
my God.
remember riding behind this car, and I could tell that like the woman was like looking in like the back or whatever, because we were doing the same route. And she was like, is this like crazy tatted biker lady following me?
Right. Oh my God. And then you're the instructor.
We go up into like the parking
love
garage, and we get there, and I'm like, whatever, I'll play into this. And I park right behind her, and she like stays in her car. And I get off my bike and I grab my yoga mat, and then she like does like a double take, and I go in. And so then she gets out and she gets her yoga mat and she goes in. And I
would have paid to
stayed-
see her face.
I stayed at the front desk. I didn't want to go in and set up yet. I stayed at the front desk for a while with my yoga mat and everything. And she comes in and she kind of like looks at me like, oh,
Yep.
you go here, whatever.
Mhm.
I'm a yogi. And she goes and sets up, and I'm like, oh my God, she's in my class. She's in my class. And I walk in, and I like call out the first pose, and I say, get ready. It was a power class. Can I curse?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now don't get me wrong. Power yoga is not yoga. That is purely a westernized white people workout, and they bastardized the practice. But I kicked the fucking shit out of that bitch. I was a competitive power lifter,
I would expect
and I
nothing
was
less.
a trainer. Like, I was a bad bitch when I was in fitness.
Oh God.
When I tell you, I don't care. I was a bomb ass power yoga instructor, because I would do the exact same thing as what I was doing building my equipment. I would find just these ways to open up the people that had so much ego on their mats, the people that would do like a fucking handstand before they would do their chaturanga. And I'm like, I'm going to peel these motherfuckers open and humble them and get their ego out of the way so that they can open up.
Right.
It was very intentional.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, that one day I was like, I'm just going to kick the shit out of this bitch. And she
That is
had to
so fucking
she had to
funny.
get in child's pose so many times during this class.
Did she come back?
It was so, hell yeah. Oh, she was a regular after that.
That's how it
Of
always
course.
turns out. Yes.
Of course. Oh,
Okay,
that's
Kara,
so
I
cute.
think now is a good time for you to ask a question that you've been planning.
Oh, well.
All the jobs.
It's got to be the jobs, because you have teased so many of them.
I did have like a couple questions I wanted to ask you, but I was going to say, I wanted to know, like, have you ever had a normal job? But we've already gone through the list of all the things. Like,
I'm still going to surprise you.
I know you will.
I was in banking for 10 years, and I managed a bank.
That I would have never thought
Never
of.
And-
That's hilarious.
I am a licensed insurance agent for the state of Ohio right now. Right now.
See, and this
I
is
love
why
it.
I had this question, because I knew you were going to shock me.
I just filled in for the office that I used to work at, because he goes out of town every once in a while. And since I'm still licensed, he'll just have me come in and just cover his office, like just randomly.
Yeah.
And I was
that's
just there for
hilarious.
2 days last week. Yeah.
Oh my God. That is
And he
so
doesn't
cute.
care. Like I'm all tatted up and stuff.
Whatever.
And so people will come in and think that I'm like the assistant or whatever. And I'm like,
Hey.
nah, bitch, let's talk about your
so
coverage.
Funny.
Yeah.
So I did have a question that I wanted to ask. And this is like kind of, I feel like for you, it is a full circle moment that I got to witness. And you're probably like, what are you talking about? So I was going to ask you like what your favorite, like who your favorite person or most meaningful person was to meet. But last year, you cried at Michigan Paracon when you got to meet Jason Haas.
I did.
And I thought I have goosebumps right now. It was the most purest, like most amazing thing ever. And then this year, I thought for you was like a full circle because your booth was across from them.
They were on the other side. I was in the room with all of,
And
I was in
Yeah.
I was in the badass room.
I know.
Oh, hell yeah, you were.
Oh, yeah. So like for me, like I was going to ask you, but I feel like that would probably be one of your top people, is that meeting Jason Haas last year and you just like crying and it was like just so wholesome and
It was
adorable.
so
But then,
embarrassing.
no, but then you got to literally be pretty much across from them with your booth this year.
And it was like, no big deal.
Amazing.
The most amazing part to me is that you literally were like, it is no big deal. You're just, my hat's falling. You're just like still doing your thing. And like, I'm just like, ugh. And I went
from crying when I met Jason Haas to setting my table up and then like texting Aaron Sagers down the way, hey, I'm looking at you. You know what I mean?
Which is incredible.
Or like Ronnie LeBlanc coming to like seek me out so we could chat and say hi. And then I was telling Christopher today too, I was like, I posted like, hey, this is crazy. I'm turning 39 and like all these other things. Like my 30s rocked. I really loved it. And it was like, if I would have told like 22-year-old me that Nick Groff would reach out to tell me happy birthday, that like Dave Schrader would message me and like, hey, happy birthday. So great. And like,
yeah,
I don't know.
That's incredible.
That speaks to the community though. It's such like, I feel like you were saying, everyone who's in this community didn't fit anywhere else.
I feel like we could talk all night.
Yeah. You want to start wrapping up? She's got dinner. I'm sure she's smelling it. She's hungry.
Babe, are you home? Baby.
Baby.
Christopher.
No.
Christopher.
I thought I heard something.
I think you're on your own.
Weird.
Okay.
So do you want to kind of wrap it up and talk a little bit about what you want to get out of the chamber? And then I'd love for you to give like a little plug on how your equipment like is different than everyone else's. Like,
yeah.
Lauren Haunts everywhere. That's easy.
Perfect.
And I will say too, big thing is find Lauren Haunts on YouTube. The most recent video is, in my opinion, a really, really great video explaining my sort of development of the 3 pieces of equipment that I currently have for sale and like why I still sell proximity sensors and like why the Crystal Pod, the Seer, and the Nova work together.
Okay.
Because this is like, of course, this is like my, is it backwards to you guys?
Oh, no, it mirrors it for us.
Oh, weird. This is what I teach on, like kinetic energy, static electricity, and electromagnetic radiation being what you should have covered in your paranormal investigations. And that's like my big to do. The chamber, of course, has nothing to do with equipment. The chamber is our personal relationship with the supernatural, because all things aside, I think like this era of just like debunking each other, I think it's so counterproductive.
Yeah.
And I think debunking is just, it's unnecessary, because if we're doing proper due diligence and proper experimentation, then like the fake content and stuff doesn't matter. Like it doesn't do anything to debunk other than having gotcha moments.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And like, of course, I mean, I've, said like, that stuff's fake or whatever, but it's like to make that an entire, like, that's your job is more of just like a gotcha to me than you're doing anything to sort of, if we have more people that are educated, then we're going to have less people making fake content, because
you wouldn't have to.
Nobody would
subscribe to it.
Right.
And now there is entertainment, and entertainment is completely different. If we are thinking that we need to debunk entertainment, there's no point to that. Entertainment is entertainment. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
If I were to have never watched Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventures, I would have never realized that there was a world to discover.
Right.
If I would have never watched entertainment, and no matter what, whether it was Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures, or if it was a horror book, or if it was an author, or if it was a movie, entertainment got us here. And there's plenty of people that are like, that's not true. I have seen ghosts since I was a child. Okay, but when was the moment that you realized that you weren't a fucking weirdo?
Right.
Entertainment.
Or that you could do it as a job, or any of those things.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Absolutely.
So like, if we have more people that are just interested in proper experimentation and learning and taking things apart, and sure, like debunk for your own personal stuff, or like look at a video critically and like debunk it for yourself. But this whole like popularity in debunk culture is, it's not doing anything. It doesn't do anything for my work. I don't care.
And I love too, though, how you're marrying so many different schools of thought, right? Like you usually have the tech people, the witchy, the psychic, right? Like you're kind of break it down and say that you're all looking at the same thing. It's just the perception of which you're doing it, right? So now you have these tools where you can do a little bit of all of it. And it's such a unique way to tie it all together and give a totally different perspective on investigating.
I find strictly science people in the paranormal or strictly tech people in the paranormal, y'all, we're hunting for ghosts.
We are.
Like, so I think that correlation between your personal connection with supernatural energy, experiencing it, and then allowing that to be like this catalyst for reimagining how you explore it is so important. And I just think it'll change the way people approach things, and maybe it'll calm people the fuck down.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like you have to explore it with yourself and within yourself before we can even think about this. Like, the ghosts know my name. They know me. We don't know what ghosts are. We got to stop putting things in these boxes. Yeah. Because that's what we do. We have this idea. When I say ghost or spirit, we have this immediate idea of what we think it is, and that's how we treat it. Instead of just treating it like it's energy, and discovering and exploring and feeling and experiencing that energy can hopefully just open up minds a little bit more, that maybe this doesn't always have to be a discussion about life after death, because it might not have anything to do with that.
Okay, so I totally agree with that, right? Because there is a huge chance that it could have absolutely nothing to do with spirits. What in Lauren's mind would it be?
I couldn't tell you. I will say an interesting idea. Okay, this is going to be a story again. I'm sorry. There's two stories. So,
real quick, before you go on your story, does somebody have music or a vacuum going?
That's a vacuum. Do you want me to shut the door?
I thought I was going crazy.
My husband's vacuuming at 9:41.
That darn husband.
Hold on. Everybody cover your ears. Why isn't it very loud? Come on.
Oh, it's
fingers.
loud.
Babe.
I like how we didn't know he was home, but we know now.
He's vacuuming. Dude, I'm going to go yell at him. I'm going to be like, I'm on a fucking podcast and you're vacuuming at 9:42 at night.
I'm dead.
I love it.
Amazing.
Put all this in it. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Oh, I'm going to keep, we're keeping all of this in there. Christopher, you're vacuuming.
Christopher!
Keep that too.
Oh my God.
Oh, she's my favorite. Love this. I don't care. I love this.
Oh, it was so funny. Oh, I guess we're taking these off.
Christopher!
So I record in what's also my reptile room. So I have three computers and heat lamps, which is why I've just gotten shinier, because I have to turn the damn AC off.
I don't get a lot of AC like in this room. I'm in my workshop, and so I have a fan on, but I don't want to close the door because I'm like, it's hot up here. But
I feel you.
Oh my God. My sweet baby angel vacuuming at 9:45 at nighttime.
I love it.
That's all right. So with that, though, I love, though, that your answer, though, was, I have no idea what it is. Because I would say, what, Kara, 90% of our episodes end with, and we'll never know what the true answer is. So do with that what you will.
I mean, it's crazy to, of course, there's ideas. I won't tell the long story, but I will say, like, the short story on it is, if you were a nature photographer and you were going out and you wanted to study this, specific bird that lives in this specific place, and everything is, the environment that it's in is just, it's very green, it's very tropical, all these other things. Would you go in like a bright white snowsuit and you know what I mean? And and then expect that you're going to be able to happen upon this bird? Or are you going to try to blend in with the environment? You're going to have the bird call. You're going to have all these ways. You're going to study this animal in order to find all of these ways that you can sort of acclimate yourself to its environment so that you have a better chance of studying this bird. And I think, why not think of that in the same way as some supernatural energy might just be something that's learning about us? We're this is where
true.
sorry.
Should we put them back
on?
This is where we get into like aliens and or like interdimensional beings.
Ugh.
Yes, this is what we usually go down.
Seriously, we are so new in the
for
universe.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
And for us to think for a second, we can barely get off this rock, y'all. We can barely breach space.
Mhm.
So for us to think that we're some like advanced species is laughable.
It is.
An advanced species that somehow can't stop killing each other.
Right.
So.
Oh my God.
And why not? How fascinating of a creature are we? We are so self-destructive.
Mhm.
If this was how long the earth has been, habitable by anything, human beings have been here for maybe, if it's this big, it would be less than the tiniest, most finest piece of hair. And it would probably be about 1% of the size of that human beings have been here.
Of course.
And we have almost wiped out.
Oh yeah, and we'll be the last
in
ones
the
here.
most teeny tiniest amount of time. That's fascinating for maybe other creatures. We would do it if there was an animal that was like wiping out an entire, the fucking lanternfly. Yeah, man, we're enthralled by it. We want it, but we also want to kill it because it's invasive. But what better way to try to learn than to every once in a while you have these sort of like scientist beings that are like, oh, let's try something different. And then they come in and they're like, I'm your great Aunt Susan. Oh, let's see how they respond to that.
Right,
you know what I mean?
What?
Amazing.
Like
Oh my
maybe the
God.
paranormal and like supernatural and things like that are we're just somebody's like weird chamber experiment.
Honestly, right?
You can't prove that we're not in a simulation. You can't prove that we're not an experiment.
Seriously. When I get really uncomfortable at haunted locations, I'll whisper, dead serious. I'll be by myself too. And I'll go, I know what you really are.
Oh my God.
Then you just see if the energy changes.
Oh God, I love that.
Well, usually gives me this
girl.
like false sense of like confidence. And I'm like, I know what you are. You can't scare me because I know what you are.
I know
I
it.
can see you, photographer.
That's so cute.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to come back because I feel like we just scratched the surface of the Lauren
There was
of it all.
I didn't even tell you about my eyeball. Nothing.
I know.
Oh my
the
gosh, I know.
eyeball. Okay, well,
For sure, though, Lauren, you got to come back in 2 years. We really want to
2
hear,
years.
how the chamber ends
I
up.
know.
We want to hear the results.
well, we're gonna
Have me on
go.
before that. I liked hanging out.
Every week. Come on.
Yeah.
No.
So everyone can find you. It's Lauren Haunts everywhere, right?
Lauren Haunts,
All your stuff.
absolutely even laurenhaunts.com gets you to my website.
Perfect.
Lauren Haunts and Google gets you to my website, gets me
I
to
gotta
everything.
order my sweatshirt. I forgot. I thought about that the
Oh,
other day. I was like, damn, I
yes.
never ordered it.
Ooh,
Anyway,
how do you know it works if you don't know how it works?
yeah, I like that.
Yes. And then your information will be down in the show notes below. So anybody who wants to go check out all her stuff, really watch that YouTube video she was talking about where she really explains all the equipment. Because, I mean, it's paradigm shifting in the way you look at it.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Is there any upcoming events that you're going to be at that people can go see you?
I will be at, Rock Island Paracon in Illinois on October 5th.
Okay.
And
Perfect.
Paraunity 6 in Peru, Indiana. It's a little Paraunity.
Cute.
And then I have my own event with Sharice Williams, who is a tarot card reader, witch extraordinaire. She is so versed in tarot. Like I'm talking, it's a science when she explains to it. It's crazy
awesome.
how much she knows about tarot. It's amazing.
That's cool.
But we have an event called Spirit and Science.
Ooh.
Where we just kind of, meld the two together. I talk a ton about equipment use. She talks a ton about tarot. And then we sort of combine our efforts in an investigation.
Cool.
When and where is that one?
That is November 23rd. And that is at the Licking County Jail.
Oh.
And that one is like, it's an event and a paranormal investigation with us.
Oh, cool.
So it's a lot of fun. And we bring stuff for people to use and it's going to be a really, really good time. I'm excited for that. So,
well, we're so, I don't even know what the words are. Like, I can't believe you're here. I feel like you're talking about all these people that are texting you now. And I'm just like, I want Lauren to text me.
Oh my God, send me your number. I'll text you.
Okay. I just want a Lauren text and I want to Lauren FaceTime. Like Zach and I live far away from each other. So sometimes we'll just like FaceTime, he'll get high, I'll have a drink. Yeah, you want to do it?
Oh my God. I know. Do you know what Marco Polo is?
You know what? I've never used it, but should we? We can Marco Polo each other?
I feel so out of it.
So
what is
not
that?
only is it, I have 2 friends that are on it. I try to get my other friends to do it. So you can send each other like video messages.
Yeah, let's do it, Zach.
But if you catch the person while they're making it, you can watch it live and like send them hearts while they're doing it live. But it's like,
I love this.
It's a video message. So you
can we have a 3-way group? We'll figure it out.
No, I don't know.
You know what? We need to get the paranormal community into this. Why don't let's make it a thing?
Marco Polo?
I know Jessica Napick
I was
uses
gonna say,
it all the time.
I'm not going to Marco Polo anybody, but you guys.
Fair.
Fair.
We'll figure it out.
And my friend Rebecca. No, it's like, it's almost like a chat. It's like a chat.
Yeah.
Where you send each other videos.
Let's do it.
And like, when I say live, I mean like, if you are sending me a video and I catch you while you're making it, I can watch you make it to me live. Nobody else can
hilarious,
see it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking it's more social media. I got it.
No, it's not like social media. It's
when
like
did
texting.
I go from the guy who used to like know all the technology to like I'm like old man Palmer over here.
But I bet you could have like a group chat on there. We're going to figure it out. Anyway, but
I would love that. Would be great.
Okay, let's do that.
Perfect.
Well, when you send a message to somebody, you can't see the other person's responses, though.
Right. Okay.
It's like a text message.
Yeah.
Although, because then you could just send it to 2 people.
Listen,
yeah, you could probably have a group chat.
We're gonna exchange each other's numbers. We're gonna Marco Polo. We're gonna go to your chamber.
Please.
Yes, we cannot wait.
I really want to do a workshop.
When I say I want you to do a workshop, when I say I'm supposed to be emailing somebody about doing a workshop in Tennessee. Oops.
She's got a lot to do. She's a busy gal.
Girl, we gotta get you out of here. We have one last question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone who makes it to the end of our episodes, we ask them to leave an emoji somehow related to our episode.
Do people usually not make it to the end?
I don't know. I feel like,
we don't really know, but that's why we started to ask for emojis.
So what emoji would Lauren?
Cat emoji with the heart eyes.
Oh, perfect.
Cat emoji with the heart eyes. Okay,
quick.
so on our socials for this episode, if you've made it this far in, cat emojis with the heart eyes.
And then follow Lauren on everything because she's amazing.
Lauren, watch her shit. Go see her if you can. Anything else you guys want to add before we close the shop up for the day?
I'm just I still am like starstruck. I just love you.
Stop it.
Yeah, I am. I cannot believe you're here.
We so appreciate that you're here. Even we were dying about like when we asked you, you're like, I would have a year ago. I would have months ago.
Oh, she got mad.
I would have after.
Sassy.
Yeah. After you guys met me for the first time, I would have gone.
I know, but we were like,
damn.
No, it's okay. That's all right. I like
that's
it better
okay. Now I'm like cooler. Now.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were always cool.
Oh, it has nothing to do. It has to all do with our imposter syndrome at the time when we were pooping our pants that whole first weekend.
Now I'm like cool though.
Okay. Well, I've always thought you were cool.
I know, but like but now maybe other people will think I'm cool, and then they'll like really watch this one.
Well, I hope that people now think we're cool because you're on our podcast. So we'll be really cool.
This is the #1 podcast. I love it so much.
Well, we love you.
You heard that. Lauren endorsed.
I love you. Okay, you go eat your tacos. We gotta go. I don't have it. I'm speechless. Like this was like the most amazing thing that we've done so far. And I'm so excited to see you in person.
I love
soon.
you. You're so pretty.
Thank you. You guys heard it. So no one has to tell me I'm pretty because Lauren already did. I love you all so much. Lauren loves you. Zach loves you. We appreciate you. And the most important thing that you can do for us is creep a real, you eyeballs.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.